Right, everybody, today is all about Ange Postecoglou. Big fan of Big Ange. I did post this little picture on Twitter the other day, and this was the tactic that I was actually building up until the game against Brentford, where they've kind of changed it up to what they were doing in pre-season. So I started with this, and I have done a lot of games in it. As you can see, we are in third position halfway through the season. I think you'd take that as a Spurs fan. We've done extremely well. Only 2 defeats against Brentford and Manchester United. 4 draws, Liverpool away, Everton away, 0-0s as well. Just attacking threat has just been a little bit lacking, which you would kind of expect. That's what we saw with Brentford at the weekend. They were just lacking maybe a little bit in that final third, Spurs. But we've had good wins in there against Chelsea, Newcastle away, Arsenal 4-1, Manchester City, Brighton, and a couple of nice little away wins as well. So both tactics are available for the patrons down in the description. Just so everyone's aware, the player instructions are exactly the same to the tactic that I go through. Now, that was what I initially set up. I did have James Maddison as an advanced playmaker and attacking midfielder, but just moving him as a trequartista has helped him just drift around and get into better areas. So this is the tactic that I have been going with, and something that probably quite similar to what they've been doing and what they did do at the weekend. So it is very random, and I'll go through it step by step and explain why. So sweeper keeper on support, Vicario. We're going to look at him sort of like sweeping it out to the fullbacks and the wingers at the same time. 2 ball-playing centre-halves. I was a little bit worried that our defensive record would be really, really bad, and we're kind of expecting the defensive record at Spurs to be really, really bad. But we've only conceded 13 goals. We've got a goal difference of 27. Absolutely tremendous. Can't imagine that happening, but it seems to be working in FM. Now, we've got the 2 fullbacks. They are playing with a back 4, but what I was finding at the start of the season when I did this was that they just weren't getting high enough up the pitch. So I've got it so they're starting in a higher position. So when we're trying to build up from the back, they're just a little bit higher. And obviously they're starting higher, they've got more chance of getting in the area. And we'll see some highlights from Pedro Porro. I have actually changed his role a little bit because Emerson Royale played in there at the weekend, and he was a little bit more of a support option. But changing that, if you're dominating games, guys, and you've got a really good squad, put that one on attack as well and watch players like Porro absolutely fly. I will show you a few little clips that I've got noted down here. So, Udogie, inverted winger on attack. It said he's done very, very well so far. 6 assists, 1 goal. You know, we haven't got the greatest team at Spurs. The squad is absolutely huge, by the way. I moved out Harry Kane, so we haven't been playing with him. So, Udogie's out on that left-hand side. I said Pedro Porro, inverted wing-back on support, but he has been playing on attack up until the last few games. The last 2, we've actually changed it in there that he's been on support. His numbers are tremendous. 20 appearances, 7 assists, 4 goals. Absolutely brilliant. What I think Big Ange does want, I think because of the lack of quality with his 8, been trying to do, and what I was trying to do with this formation here is get these inverted wing-backs going into these areas. Now, normally he would have his inverted wingers come in, and then he would have 2 8s getting into the half spaces here and here, with maybe one going out there, and then maybe one of these up here and playing more of a 4-3-3. But I think because of the lack of quality, and maybe James Maddison not being a tremendous 8 in terms of his off-the-ball capabilities, I think going with a 4-2-3-1 kind of suits them a little bit. So my idea is what they did do in pre-season as well. They did it against Barca, where they had a sort of like Lo Celso as the deep-line playmaker. He would drop in build up and allow Udogie to go. And on this side, then Basuma, or the right side, was doing the same, allowing the other side, Porro, to go. And at times, put a little screenshot up now, that was their 2 highest players in terms of support for Richarlison, whoever the striker was. That's what he was trying to do. So that's why I'd gone to that. And it's worked actually really well. So the really good numbers from them too. I've really enjoyed seeing inverted wing backs. Something that I may look at tinkering when I get playing with a 5-3-2. So they're moving into the 6. Bentancur, deep line playmaker on defend, just sitting there and give it. Obviously working in build-up a lot with the back 2, back 4. Having one in there as well allows sort of like the Porro to come in pretty much like we got with Emerson Royale. He was going in there helping Basuma on Sunday. Basuma is kind of the skip role. If we just put Skip's heat map up quickly, as you can see, he was definitely moving into sort of like these wider areas. When Emerson was coming in here in build-up, he was going out there. So that's why we've got that. Now, we know Son's been playing out on the left, but what he does want with his wingers, whoever it is, obviously imagine by the looks of it, Son and Kulusevski going to be first choice. What he wants is them to stay wide. And I think because Son's player traits moves into channels, shoots about, cuts in from both wings, he's going to cut in anyway. But the idea is that they hold the width. The two wingers hold the width, and then the inverted wing-backs then cut through on these underlapping runs. That's what we're looking at. So they just create the width. I think they're going to need to do a little bit of transfer work because both of the sort of like the two wide players at the moment, Son and Kuleveski, like to come inside and sit inside inverted wing-back positions. And they don't often go round, as in touchline and cross. The flip side that you could go with, this is why I've got it, Perisic potentially will definitely do that for you, and balls in the box. And then maybe Son, even though in FM terms he's not going to do it regularly because of his player traits. But I think Son potentially could be a decent outlet on this right-hand side and getting round. He could still come in on his left, but then being on his stronger foot. I think being on his stronger foot will kind of push him down the line a little bit more. So both wingers on support. Trequartista, Maddison, I've got more direct passes just so we get those little side passes. Richarlison, I've changed the role. It was advance forward. I've done poacher, pressing forward. Doesn't really matter, really. It just seems to fit Richarlison a little bit better. Just gets him holding up, getting into these little areas and just linking play a little bit better than what he was doing with the advance forwards and the poacher. Those are the player instructions. Now, the team instructions are the same for both tactics. So if you're going to copy the other one with the two sitters, the tactic is exactly the same. Positive mentality. Big Ange wants to get on the ball, get those possession numbers up. Fairly wide attacking width. I've been changing that depending on our opponents. When we've played against teams with a low block, we struggled a little bit, and I've immediately put it up to wide. I was just a little bit wary of having the pitch too big and having that big hole in the middle of the midfield right in there because of sort of like our isometrical system. So I thought having it a little bit narrower would probably have the inverted wing-backs maybe a little bit narrower, maybe 5 or 10 yards just tucked in a little bit more. We only want the wingers to stay wide, and with obviously them being wingers, they'll hopefully hold the width. Shorter passing, higher tempo, work the ball into the box. In transition, counter press. There's a massive thing with Spurs on counter press, pressing high, getting the ball back. Obviously, with loads of numbers, inverted wing-backs, they've got kind of a decent rest defence. You know, you'll often get a Dogi and Porro or Emerson or whoever in these areas here. So when the ball breaks down in this area, they can then get it back quickly. So that's why we've got that on. No counter-attack. They haven't got absolute blistering pace. So I think it's going to be patient, build up steady from the back, take short kicks. We're going to let Vicario kind of just distribute that wherever, you know, wing-backs, inverted wing-backs, holding midfielder, back four, maybe even the wingers as well. So we're letting Vicario be flexible with that. Out of possession, much higher defensive line. We're proper going for it, step up more. Spurs are going to get caught out. Now, at the moment, we've not done too bad in terms of, the only thing we've got is a little bit of a mismatch with throw-ins. Sometimes because they're playing in these wing-back areas, there might be a little striker that comes out here, and if it was a right full-back, he would be there. And for some reason, they just stand and they throw the ball over the head. So something just to be aware of. Step up more. Spurs are going to be really aggressive now. Mickey van der Ven's in, Romero. They're going to push up. They're going to push up as much as possible. And trap outside. We're just setting a few little pressing traps in terms of getting the ball out wide, forcing the ball out one side, and then we go and press from there. Obviously, we've got wingers, we've got inverted wing-backs as well, quite high up. So we're looking at really getting that ball back as quickly as possible. All right, guys, let's go and see a few little clips of a few Pedro Porro classic moments. Okay, we start from a throw-in. Keep our eye on Pedro Porro because he's going to be a goal scorer in the 4-1 win over our arch rival. So he picks it up in a wide position, cutting in, and then just watch his movement. You see, we're quite narrow because Kuleveski likes to come in. Issue Spurs will have a little bit, I think. Basuma's not in a bad role as a Carrilero there. No, I think he's actually a defensive midfielder actually at this point. So there's our two. So we've kind of got our two and our two. And then we've got our wide player nice and wide. Son nice and wide. And as you can see, look at our two inverted wing backs. One there and one there. Really high positions. And I think as well, if you look at it now, unless we lose the ball in right in this area here, if we lose it in here, because we've got this two and then that two, we're in quite a nice area. You know, you don't want big gaps in the middle of midfield, like Manchester United had yesterday against Wolves. You're happy to allow these spaces. Not ideal, but we can't have it perfect all the time, and we're causing problems here. We're forcing Arsenal. Look, we've forced Saka all the way back, and we've got Thomas Partey in there all the way back as well, into their back line. Let's just keep our eye on Porro as the ball rotates round. So he's come in, look, really narrow. Kuleveski's come out wide. Really good movement. Kuleveski goes down the right-hand side. Little pullback, little pass. Look where Power is as the striker. We've got Son in there. We've got Richarlison in there. We've got Udogie backing up as well. And Power absolutely smashed it in. Great little bit of build-up. I said these inverted wing-backs, boys. These inverted wing-backs are absolutely golden. Right, at this point here, Porro is still on the right. We've now got Bentancur. Where is Sessegnon? Sessegnon's our inverted wing-back on attack. So just watch. Look where he is now. He's like a centre-forward. Porro's doing a little bit of width. They will hold the line a little bit, just how attacks sometimes come. Don't think they're always going to cut on the inside. Not always the case. But Sessegnon's in there pretty much as a striker. He doesn't need it. Son absolutely finishes. What a wonderful goal from Son. But Sessegnon, inverted wing back on attack, is getting into some really crazy areas. I think what you're going to have to do is, if you're going to go with these two, like that, and play with wide players, you're probably going to need two sitters to make sure you have two sitters, you know, a Cavallero and a deep line playmaker or a DM or something like that I've set up in this tactic. I think if you're not, and you're going to maybe play with, you know, like playing a 4-3-3 with maybe two really aggressive eights and Mazzalas, probably wouldn't work as well. So just be careful, these inverted wing backs. You might need a little bit of support in and around the edge of the area. And then the last one's a break. Once again, the inverted, like, Porro's so good in the game, isn't he? We know how good he is in FM23. Where is he? I imagine that's him there. So we do go into a back four, look. So there's our back four. We're happy with that. But just watch Porro now. He's off. Look at him. Absolutely motoring. On the underlap. And then he's in. He keeps running. He keeps running. Like, you're going to need really good players for this. Really good wing backs. Obviously, one thing Spurs are good at the moment is wing backs. Emerson Royal's done it okay, but on that left-hand side, Perisic has played there, Sessegnon's played there, Udogie's played there as well, so we've got plenty of options in FM23. Right, here we go. Watch the movement again of Pedro Porro. Where is he? There he is. Where's my other one? There's Son, Maddison, Bentancur, Udogie there. So there's my two inverted wing backs, right? So let's click him. There we go. He's just coming to show it. And all of a sudden, once Basuma gets it, he's in and he's working off the shoulder. He's in and he finishes absolutely wonderfully well. So once again, I do find in FM, and I've spoke about it in yesterday's video, that sometimes defensive midfielders struggle to pick up those late runs and those runs off the shoulder. I've done it with Bellingham in the 10 role, where he's get further forward as a player instruction on the attacking midfielder. He sort of like works in these areas at the edge of the area, and then when someone picks it up, he then spins in and spins behind. And defensive midfielders don't seem to pick up and track runs very well, but what a great finish. And then this one's just quick run in. Once again, Udogie, you know, he is inverted, because if he was just a fullback, you'd expect him to be out here, but because he's inverted on attack, he's a little bit higher. Son's holding the width, but Son's then the guy, you know, this is what we want. The creative players getting on the ball, and then these guys, in terms of Porro and Udogie, they're the runners. And we get that from Udogie. Into Maddison, Trequartista, spins off, Udogie's in, good positive run. We're going to get that a lot, I think, from Spurs this year. Udogie, once he gets his confidence up, will do that time and time again. And then this one again is exactly the same, just a little bit narrower. Look, he comes in a little bit narrower. He's got Son round him as well, so he's got that if he wants to play with. Could work a 2v1 in here, but then it's just the run of Maddison. It's a tremendous run. He's in. Lovely finish. We've scored some wonderful goals. I think if I carried on this, we'd get Champions League football. No problem. And there is so much money. Spurs is a great save to do. So plug the tactic in. Patreons, you get this tactic. Link down in the description. I've gone through all the player instructions so you can copy it in yourselves. But if you fancy just getting the direct downloads, I've done a video yesterday. There's a Unite Emery video out as well tomorrow for you. Let me know down in the comments which tactical recreation of sort of like the Premier League so far you'd like to see. Let me know down in the comments. Thank you very much for watching. This is a beauty, and I'm thinking of moulding something in a couple of PvP comps that I've got coming up very, very soon. Thanks for supporting the channel, guys. Thanks for watching. Take care. See you later.